Hello everyone, this is Arisaig from the Conclave, coming back with my perspective on Pitfalls Miniseries. Today we're going to be covering Stagnation. So the Conclave, we define Stagnation as specifically, this pitfall is restraint taken too far. So if you look at our habits of a Jedi, restraint it would be one, uh, but it can of course, like any ideal, be taken too far. It halts development and can stop service or lead to reduced ability to serve as one fails to develop with the times. Now, how does this really manifest itself in the Jedi community, even in just people's day-to-day lives? One of the most common forms of common times I'll see stagnation come about is when one becomes a knight. Now, this isn't really calling anybody out, but because even I've fallen for this one, when we come to the path and one decides I want to train, like, because not everybody does training. Not everybody needs to do training. Um, you can just be a Jedi, and that is completely fine. But for those who decide we're going to tackle the training, you'll find initial programs. Here at the Conclave, we have the Initiate's Path. Some places have the Initiate's program. Initial training programs, whatever they want to call it. It's just the baseline that prepares one. Like sort of says, hey, I'm interested in training a little bit more, and potential training masters can observe how they learn and find somebody who's a good fit for them. As a result, there's a lot of training to begin with. Here at the Conclave, we have a series of lessons, the Initiate's Path, as I've mentioned, and going through these pitfalls is actually one of the lessons, along with all the other doctrine. Then after that, you have apprenticeships, which takes the training a little bit more to a personal path, and gets one ready to become a knight, gets one ready to become a teacher. Now, what happens when one becomes a knight? If a love of learning and the ability to train oneself beyond by oneself isn't properly instilled, you'll see that manifests with people stopping. Now, of course, you don't have to go beyond. One doesn't need to become a Jedi Master or whatever. That's a nice accoutrement, I guess. But it's not something that everybody needs to do. But you'll see them be like, oh, well, I'm a knight now, and that means I'm the epitome of the path. I have fallen for this exact same pitfall early on after I got knighted. I found myself on my own without really a training order to go with, and I sort of really had to stick by my guns, and my guns were what I'd been trained with, and not what training I was actually undergoing. And for a couple months that did plague me, until eventually I did find somebody who helped me find a better way and helped me continue my training forward. So it's sort of the I've made it to the ocean mindset. Like I've made it, I've accomplished it. I'm in the like I've gone down the rivers, down the rapids, fallen off the waterfall, and now I'm at the ocean. But in actual fact, you're just in a puddle, and that puddle is rapidly turning green. Um, as Bruce Lee says, "Be water, my friends." It's like if you put into a teacup, be the teacup. If you put into a pot, be the pot. But it's so much more than that. It's water can flow, water can crash, water keeps moving. Like unless it's literally sitting in a pot, sitting in a hole in the ground or a pot growing moldy, water just keeps moving. It never stops, and as a result, we as Jedi, being like trying to be water, we keep moving. We keep trying to adapt to the times. Um, I've seen many Jedi who have accomplished some level of training, but it's no longer relevant to what they're undergoing today. Um, Revisiting the basics also helps. Um, Here at the Conclave, we even knights, of course, have to go through the Initiates program. I'm going through the Initiates program as well, just to make sure that I have all the basics down as well. And it's great to revisit that every so often, maybe once every couple of years. Just go back and be like, hey, maybe I've forgotten one, maybe I've fallen into one of these pitfalls, for example, and I just can't recognize it because it's been a while since I've touched on these things. That's one way to fight stagnation, and it keeps one flowing. So, um, examples from my life, for example, as I've mentioned before, I fell into this shortly after getting knighted. I've managed to push on. Of course, sometimes it rears its ugly head. It's something that it's very very easy to want to stagnate, to constantly keep pushing yourself. It's not really human nature. Human nature is okay. Well, I'm surviving. We're good. Cool. I have food. I have roof. And I have water, and I am able to survive comfortably. Boom. Anything beyond that is something that one has to physically push themselves to do. Um, and then this extra type of training that we undergo right now, we're here at the conclave. We're going through the Jedi compass. That's really not something one needs to do to survive. It's a more of a thrive thing that we're going beyond, and we're trying to push ourselves to become great. So that's not human nature. Human nature is to settle with something easy. To go beyond is what we strive to do. One could say it's human spirit to go further beyond, but there's a million ways you can take it. But so I'm not really going to get into that now. Um, so I want to go through some examples in my life where how I've learned how to fight stagnation. Now, I got one of my lightsabers here. Um, I'm most well known for using these things. It's been now almost 4 years that I've been training with them, doing what is called lightsaber flow. It's entering the flow state with your mind and accomplishing certain types of movements, creating an art form. It has an infinite learning curve. There's some moves that are quite basic, but even those require time to learn and to get down to a masterful level. But even then, once you've accomplished these basic moves to a masterful level, there's still these super extravagant, there's people that do contact flow where they'll and then there's tosses, and some people attach like strings to their sabers that they haven't. It's insane what people can accomplish, and I've not touched on half of them. I don't do contact flow. I don't really I've done tosses, but I don't like doing them. um, and then like force flows and all these things. There's so much I could still learn, and maybe I'll get into it one day. But even with the stuff I know I've mastered, sometimes I'll get thrown for a loop and I'll mess up something and realize, wow, there's still so much I have to do. I could comfortably settle into exactly what I know and not push myself anymore and still be considered really, really good at what I do. But I know there's more. I can't just rely on people's ignorance of what one can accomplish. And instead, I have to push myself because it's what I want. I want to become better at this. Um, Now, methods. How do you fight stagnation? The first one, when you become a apprentice, you have found a teacher. The teacher pushes you to go beyond. They recognize your potential, and they know how to best take that potential, put it through the gauntlet, and produce a knight on the other side. Um, the but when you become a knight, you sort of lose that teacher. Now you can still, of course, communicate with that teacher, and they can continue training you along. But sometimes, because you're no longer their apprentice, that relationship doesn't work as well as it used to, and that's fine. But sometimes finding another teacher can help you push yourselves again. Another way is to just get out. I know a lot of people, especially during this time, because right now we still have the COVID pandemic going on. People want to stay inside, and that's good. Stay inside if you can. But sometimes it's good to get out and just do things in the real world. Um, to just get right down to brass tacks basics. Um, Soup kitchens, cleaning up a street. I know it's probably really bad for me, but sometimes when I'm walking along and I see garbage on the side of the street, I still pick it up and I dispose of it. The worst part is usually the garbage can is mere feet away from where these people have thrown it. All they had to do was take like a couple steps. That's what really gets me. um, but it's real work. It's not sitting behind a computer, no screens, no entertainment. It's just work, and sometimes that's great. It just reminds you like just how basic it can get to make to do good. And then finally, reigniting the spark. Um, what I'll see is sometimes you'll see Jedi forget why they're doing this in the first place. It's not very often, but sometimes it just becomes, why am I training? Why am I pushing myself to do this? None of this makes sense. Me spinning a lightsaber doesn't make sense. It's completely impractical to my day-to-day. It's a fun hobby, but that's about it. Doing training, doing the initiate's path, apprenticeships, post-knighthood training. Right now I do a lot of work in the wider community, moderating and like helping with discussions, creating content like this. Why do I do it? Doing this right now, filming this video, helps remind me why I got into this, the whole Jedi path to begin with, to get to the basics, refine myself, and over time become better. Because when I came to this path, I was in a really bad place. I found a whole bunch of people and the community that helped me refine myself, and I am better. But that process continues over and over again to continue better. There is no such thing as perfect. There's no end goal. You could become a Jedi Grandmaster, be revered by all as super, super wise and having your life together. Does not mean you're perfect. There is no such thing as a perfect Jedi. There's probably some wise ones, but there's no perfect Jedi. We're just practicing Jedi. There's no faking it here. Of course, some people might just use that as a title for roleplay purposes. It's very weird being part of a faith/path that people actively roleplay, cosplay as. You can go to a Comic-Con and see people that are, oh yeah, I'm a Jedi, but it's like the different type. You won't see people doing that. Like you won't go to a Comic-Con and see somebody saying like, "Ooh, I'm a Scientologist," or like dressed as a Scientologist. Like, what is that? So you have to really find why you came to this path, and reigniting that spark helps you tackle it again with renewed vigor. These are just methods. Of course, this is just my perspective. This is the perspective on Pitfalls Miniseries. After all, you might have your own methods for doing that. Sometimes I've had people who've just decided, I'm just going to go on a camping trip, and they go away for a week, come back, and like, okay, I've recentered myself. I know of one Jedi who went and lived in the mountains for months on end. Just lived in a tent, from what I understand, for months on end, and came back, and he just had this renewed outlook on exactly what his path was. He finished up his initiate's training, became an apprentice. I don't know what's happened since then with his path, but very, very fascinating. It was a big inspiration for me. I know I wanted to do the exact same thing, but then a lot of things have happened since then, and I haven't had quite a chance to do it. One day maybe. We'll get there. We'll have to figure it out. So yeah, this has been the Perspective on Pitfalls miniseries. This is part 5 of 5, so there's 4 other videos to go with this, so if you haven't seen it before, go check them out. This is part of a playlist, so if you actually go to our YouTube page, you can actually find the whole playlist together and just watch it through. Like and subscribe, I guess. Hi. I'm not a big fan of doing that part, but hey. And if you're interested in doing the Jedi Conclave Initiate's Path training, reach out to us on Facebook, and we can give you a link to our Discord. At the moment, we only have a Discord. Our site is being revamped and redone, and for the time being we're just operating entirely off of Discord, but we have a very active community, people posting all the time, great conversation, very respectful Jedi. You're welcome to join, welcome to talk, and of course tackle any training that we have there. So I thank you all for watching, and may the Force continue to guide you.